Hello, everyone, and good morning. Great to see you back here for our Shaar Habitachon class, which we started a few weeks ago. This is an amazing book called The Gates of Trust, and the author is Rabbeinu Bachya Ibn Pekuda, 11th century scholar, and although it was written in Arabic, it was translated, and recently it has been republished under the publishing house of Kahut, and it is brilliant, and I love it, and I recommend all of you to go out and buy a copy. I did have 10 copies that were graciously donated, and they went within a few minutes. So I don't have any more, but pick up a copy of the book, and then you can learn with us as we go through the text together while I share some stories. But most of all, I'd like to hear from you. In fact, I spoke to a friend of mine who lives in Utica yesterday, Utica, New York, and she goes, Goldie, you're the only one that has a Facebook class that really gets interaction. And I say, of course, we have the best chavrusas. I have the best partners in studying Torah with you guys. We're always giving feedback and questions and comments and emojis. 2021, we learned Torah with emojis. So first of all, welcome all of you. Great to see so many of you this morning. Good morning, Michelle, Dorit. Hi, Francesca. Good morning, Rosalie, Barb, and Corinne. Good morning, Lauren and Helga. Great to see all of you. Give me a thumbs up to let me know how great are you feeling this morning. I mean, how gorgeous is this summer in Toronto? They are slowly lifting the quarantine bans, and people are going to start coming in again, and we're going to be able to start having visitors from out of town. Good morning, Jennifer. You'll be able to go visit loved ones, grandchildren who you haven't seen in 14 months, or family, friends. Life is amazing, and as such, we have to recognize it. Say thank you to Hashem, and just fantastic. Good morning, Claire. So I feel like we have a lot of positive energy this morning, although I don't see you, but I'm seeing your hearts. I'm seeing your thumbs up. I know that you're feeling great. And if you remember when we started doing this way back in the beginning of COVID, there was a lot of comments such as anxiety, stress, the unknown, worry, anxious. And look, thank God how things are changing. We have good, happy, joy. I'm well, feeling great. All right, Hodil Hashem Kitov. Thank you, Hashem, that we're actually getting to this space where we're feeling hopeful. But guys, if we would have started this book on Shaar Habitachon way back then, we would have felt this joy already then. But everything is meant to be. Good morning, Elaine. Good morning, Chava. Chava wants to know if we can come learn together. You know what, Chava? I think we should actually think about starting that soon. We can have a group here, and then we can still have Facebook Live like we did in the fast. So Chava will be in touch about that. I love that idea. It is quite lonely to be sitting here, just here in my house, although I love my home. And I don't know if you notice anything that's changed here in the picture behind. This has been a very famous painting during COVID. A lot of my husband and my classes took place in front of my art. Hi, good morning, Ayala. But till now I had 2 candles, and if you notice, I just filled in a 3rd candle. And that's because one of the things the Lubavitcher Rebbe really pushed was that women should make sure that their children, their young daughters, light Shabbos candles as well. So I added the 3rd little candle there. Yeah, Dorit, this is one of my paintings. I added this candle, hi Arlene, because this candle represents that the Rebbe's mitzvah of Neshek, that we should make sure our young daughters light candles. They shouldn't just wait till they're married. So how many of you light Shabbos candles? Okay, give me a thumbs up how many of you light Shabbos candles. All right, every single Friday. How many of you? Give me a heart or a thumbs up. How many of you light Shabbos candles? All right, good. Now, second question. How many of you make sure that your daughters who are not married or your granddaughters who are not married, how many of them light Shabbos candles? Give me an emoji over there. Hi, good morning, Sarah. Every week. Okay, how many of your granddaughters light candles? This is a very important question because the Rebbe really, really pushed lighting candles for young girls. Not just for married women. Married women, that's a mitzvah that's been around forever. But the Rebbe instituted for little girls, for your 8-year-old, for your 10-year-old. They have to know that their candle is making a difference in the world. Their light is making a difference in the world. Hi, good morning, Elise. Good to see you last night. Good to see you today, Elise. We're going to constantly study together. Hi, good morning, Inez. Good to see you. Hi, Heather. Haven't seen you for a while, Inez. Well, welcome from England. Yes, Dorit. One daughter lights right before you, and then you cover your eyes together, and when you uncover afterwards and you hug your daughter, to me, that is the ultimate of raising gorgeous, Jewish, healthy children. That their light makes a difference. Hi, Heather. I'm sure your daughters light their own Shabbos candles. I think they've been doing that since they're 3. Am I right, Heather? Okay, let's get straight to it. We're going to say Tehillim, and then we'll start. Hi, good morning. Tomorrow. No, we're saying Tehillim right now. So we're going to say Tehillim from Michael Ari ben Chana, Yaakov Moshe ben Necha, Yehudis bas Sarah, Yitzchak Moshe ben Rachel Reza, Tzipora Hinda bas Rachel Miriam, Sarah bas Chana, Yechmiel Moshe, Moshe Rachmiel ben Miriam Mushka. Actually, I could take that name off. Baruch Hashem, he's home from the hospital and doing great. Tinok ben Shifra Rezel is now a baby that had a bris, and he is doing great. He doesn't need our Tehillim either. Gitla bat Sima, very good. Tzipora Hitna bas Rachel Miriam, Chana Devora bas Golda Basya, and Menucha bas Emmanuel, Sarah bas Rivka, Bracha Tamar bas Chana, and we said Gitla bas Sima. Good. So it's good when I cross out names from our list. We know that our Tehillim is working. Okay, there we go. Chana Esther bas Ayala Hadar. Everyone should have a refuah shalema and only b'surot tovot. And please let us know on our next class if we can take their names off because they are healed. Okay, I'm going to add Yisrael ben Esther Golda and Sarah Mindel bas Chana Etka. Okay, if you have a Tehillim, great. Okay, the granddaughters light the candles with the mothers. Beautiful, Ayala. I'm so proud of them. Okay. Lamnatzech mizmar David yancha dinai biyom tzara yisagefcha shem Elahei Yaakov yishlach ezrecha mikodesh umitzian yisadeka yiskar kol menchasecha va'alascha yidash nesela yitel lecha chavavecha v'chol atzascha yimale nirana b'shuasecha uv'shem Eloheinu nitgol yimalei Adonai kol mashalasecha ata yadati keoshi Adonai mishicho yanem mishmei kotre b'gvuros yeshayimino Ela v'recha ve'ela basusim v'anachnu b'shem Adonai Eloheinu naskir. Hey makaru v'nafolu v'anachnu kamnu v'nisadod. Adonai Hoshia HaMelech Yanenu b'yom karenu. Good morning, Haley. Okay, Esther Malka Bas Peril. Excellent. So we're going to have all those names in mind as we start our class on Shaar Habitachon, the gate of trust. And once again, the author of this book is Rabbeinu Bachya Ibn Pekuda, a wonderful book, one of his series in the Chovat HaLevavot, Duties of the Heart. This is one of the gates, and we are doing Gates of Trust. And so much I want to share with you today, so let's get going. What do we know about anxiety? Anxiety is the opposite of trust, right? When one doesn't have trust in God, then they have fear and anxiety. And in Isaiah, we are taught, I am confident and shall not fear God, because God is my strength and song, and he has been of help to me. So when we are struggling with anxiety, we have to go back to our sources. What does Isaiah say? I am confident. I know that God is helping me and with me. And the Rebbe said, Trach gut wird sein gut. How many of you remember that slogan? Trach gut wird sein gut. If you know what it means, put it into the comments. Think good, it will be good. And the Rebbe shares a story of his father-in-law, the previous Lubavitcher Rebbe. He was summoned by the communist authorities in Moscow. I think it was in the late 1920s. That's good. Thank you, all of you. And when he wasn't ready to cooperate with them. They wanted to arrest him because he was spreading Judaism. So he was not cooperating with all of their ridiculous and absurd comments and behaviors. And so one of them took out a gun and put it to the Rebbe's head. And he said to him, this toy makes people cooperate. Fear of this gun has opened many in its mouth. So the Frierdiker Rebbe looked him straight in the eye and he said, the toy frightens only someone who has but one single world and many gods. But the Rebbe continued, but not one who has one God and two worlds. Listen to that. Fear and anxiety is when we have so many gods, so many worries, so many points of reference. It's money, it's safety, it's respect, it's accolades, it's honor. By the way, those are gods too. But we only have one world, the world of here and now, the world of Olam Hazeh. But we as Jews know that we have two worlds. We have the world of Olam Hazeh, this physical world, but we also know that our soul returns to Olam Haba, to the true eternal world. So we're not scared of only having one world. We have two worlds, but we only have one God. Money, wealth, honor, esteem, those are not our gods. And you know, my friends, many of us say that, but do we believe that? Do we really believe that money is not running our life? How many of us wake up in the morning and say, I need more, I need more. If I only had this, if I only had a better car, if I only had a bigger house, if I only had more purses, if I only had more shoes, if I only had a cottage, if I only had another vacation. Oh, if only I would be so happy. And then we get anxious because we're not, matching up to the Joneses. We're not conforming to society because they all have so much. This is typical. And even people who have faith struggle with this. But whenever we get to that space, we have to think to ourselves, we have exactly what we need. And whatever is meant to come our way will come our way. And that's what we're going to discuss today in Sefer Chovot Halavavot Shaar Habitachon. So what are we afraid of? What is our anxiety and where is it coming from? Think of a child. A child is scared of the dark, right? Hi, good morning, Barb. Good morning, Judith. Refuah Shlema L'Rachel Bas Kochava. Good morning, Nikki. We'll talk about Jewish education expensive Dorit in 1 second. How many of you have had young children and you came to this spot where your child was scared to go to sleep at night? Huh? Show me by a thumbs up or show me with some emoji. Either you as a child or your children. They couldn't sleep at night. They had nightmares. They had night frights. They would come out of the bed 10 times because they were scared of the dark, right? So what would you do? There's no rationale behind the fear, right? But you can't explain that with words to a 3-year-old or a 4-year-old or a 5-year-old. So what do? You can take him in the room, you turn on the light and you show to him, look, there's no ghost, there's no boogeyman, there's nobody hanging in your closet, right? You open the light because you're showing them there's nothing to fear. How does it work with adults? How does it work with me and you? It's the same way. Karine, you're still scared of the basement. So turn on the light. How does it work with adults, right? What do we do, Karine? What do we do? There's often no basis to the fear, okay? Right? Because even when we know that there really isn't a boogeyman in the basement, what is it? But sometimes we exaggerate the fear that it holds us hostage, right? Many of us are born, and as we get older, we get fear, or we're born with confusion. So what does Torah tell us? Right? Like we say, should I accept a job or shouldn't I? Will I be able to handle a problem or won't I? Will my family and friends think that I'm making the wrong decision by changing some direction in my life? Oh my gosh, what's everyone going to say? Suddenly I want to keep Shabbat. Suddenly I want to make sure I light Shabbos candles. When before it didn't bother them when Friday nights, let's say we went down to the harbor front and I didn't light candles. Suddenly now lighting Shabbos candles is important. And I'm so worried. What's everyone going to say? What are my friends going to think of me? All of a sudden now I really want to have Kiddush. And I really encourage my husband to sing Eishes Chayil. And my children, who might be teens or young adults, they roll their eyes like, oh my God, what's happening to mom, right? And we have this confusion. And sometimes it is debilitating. But clarity is one of the greatest blessings. When you have clarity in your life and you don't second guess, no, I'm a Jew, I'm lighting candles. I'm a Jew, I'm making Shabbat dinner. I'm a Jew, I want to go to shul. I'm a Jew, I want to give that money to a Jewish education. I know that's the right thing. And that clarity erases and dissipates the fear and the confusion that we have. And that is one of the greatest blessings. When you resolve your doubts, you feel as if this heavy weight has been lifted off your shoulders. Even if you think you made a mistake in your decision, you can at least see clearly what lies ahead of you, and you gain the strength and the confidence to move ahead. Because your confidence comes from Habitachon. I want to teach you a word, and I want you to write this word down, because the goal of learning this book, I feel like we have to have goals. Okay, goal setting. The goal of reading and learning this book together is that we each achieve a title. Are you ready? Are you ready? The goal of this book is to deserve a title called Baal Bitachon. Anybody know what that might mean? A Baal Bitachon. If you do, just put in the comments. Baal Bitachon. What is a Baal Bitachon? A Baal Bitachon is a master of trust. And I know, I speak to many of you during the week. I know that your trust level has gone up. Your trust level, your bitachon in God has gone up. I know that. A Baal Bitachon, exactly, it's the owner of bitachon, that you have become a master of bitachon. That your go-to place is not fear of confusion, but your go-to place will be bitachon, will be trust. We mentioned last week, when you're sitting at a space where you are feeling confusion or worry, just inhale bitachon and exhale anxiety. I want you to do it with me now before we start our class. Inhale bitachon, exhale anxiety. Anyone who's in the world of mindfulness and yoga, they do this as well, but we're doing an extra level. We are inhaling bitachon. We're inhaling trust in God, not just in man, not just in yoga, not just in my employer. We are inhaling trust in God, the creator of the universe, the creator of ourselves. And he has the power to make it all good. And he does. And when you know that Hashem is holding your hand, your inhaling is wonderful. And of course, waking up in the morning and saying Moda Ani is the first step in inhaling bitachon, because you're acknowledging that Hashem is going to be with you throughout the day. Okay, so instead of being scared of the dark or becoming frightened of not making enough money or losing your job, what you're doing is you are not allowing your life to be defined by money or job or society. You are not becoming afraid of not being accepted by others, right? What you're doing now is you are placing your hope and security in the hands of Hashem. And remember, we spoke about it. We don't sit down and just fold our arms saying, woo, I've got security. I know I can just trust. I don't have to go to work. No. In one of the second class, we spoke about hishtadlus. You must work hard and you must put in your effort. But when you're finished your job, you leave it and you go home and you do time with your family and you enjoy studying Torah and you do your prayers because you're not putting your trust in your worries, in your work. A friend of mine wrote a book and she sometimes comes to our classes, and I'm going to give her a shout out because I'm going to be reading something from a book. It's called Life Unwrapped. Life is the journey to explore and uncover, receive the gifts that are yours to discover. And the author is Terry Klein. And Terry Klein is a coach and a very, very intelligent woman, a good friend. And she wrote this book, and I'm going to read to you one part. And it goes like this. Inner peace through turbulent times. I will guide you towards your inner peace. A return to love is all you really need. It is a secret ingredient for you to find your joy and therefore to succeed. I will send you blessings, yet they may be in disguise. All you have to do is receive them and open your heart as well as your eyes. You will experience things that you may not always understand, yet have faith that I will be with you, there to hold your hand. I will carry you when life seems just too hard to bear. When you reach out to me, I promise I'll be there. I will not save you or set you free. I will direct you to where you need to be. A blessing from God to all of us. I love this. If you like Terry's poem, give me a thumbs up. I'm going to share it with her. Or maybe she's even on today. Terry, if you're on, let us know. Sometimes her sister Karen's on as well. So today in Shaar Habitachon, we're going to talk a little bit about some of the points that I just mentioned. The last 2 weeks we spoke about an alchemist who seems to have the career that is absolutely wonderful. He could make gold and silver out of minerals, and he could do all kinds of brilliant things. But then we mentioned that the alchemist doesn't have it always so good because, yes, he has the ability to make gold out of lead, but he's worried. How is he going to attain his materials? Or will he be harmed through his labor? Or he's scared to share the information. He's concerned that he was stocking up correctly. He's worried that people will find out his secret. His wealth will not prevent illness. And gold doesn't always buy food, right? Sometimes you're living in a time where there's no food, but you have the gold. Well, you can't eat the gold. He's always on the move out of fear of being caught. At most secured, he's against poverty, but is he happy about that? And he's scared of others. And we said that a woman that have bitachon, why aren't they worried? Because they know God will find a way. They're safe from harm. They have nothing to hide. God does not need materials to give you your parnasa. He can come up with anything. His secret is God. He's not scared to share his secret. He knows he's in good hands. He's not scared of illness. He knows he's in good hands. We'll address that soon. He knows that God provides food directly, like the Jews had in the manna. He's happy wherever he is. He doesn't have to run around and find a new place. He's happy wherever he is. And he knows that his material and spiritual world or reward comes from God. And he knows that he's not scared of others because he's a benefit of others. So that's why we're done with the alchemist. And even though the alchemist, that seems like the perfect, job security. No. Why don't we read what Kareem writes? Sometimes one prays, but the problems do not disappear. We sometimes find it hard to believe that bad situations will change. Yes, so trust, Kareem, and I'm going to answer your question directly, is trust means that your situation, which we mentioned last time, the story of Nochamish Gamzu. Do you remember that story, guys? Remember that story? Give me a thumbs up if you remember that story. Gamzu, Nochamish Gamzu, he went with the treasure chest to the Roman emperor, and when he gets there, he realized that he had been fooled and he had been manipulated, and the owner of the inn changed the contents of the treasure box, and instead of the gold and jewels, they replaced it with sand. And the last minute, Elijah the prophet shows up dressed in disguise as a soldier or an advisor, and he said, those Jews don't just bring you sand. I bet you that sand is similar to what Abraham had, and that is very, very, very special and worthwhile sand. Why don't we throw it at our enemy and see if it turns into swords? And sure enough, it did. So, Corinne, sometimes the problem is the solution. And the problem sometimes doesn't change because in the problem, that is what's so important about the story. Nahum Ish Gamzu didn't say, oh my gosh, I'm sure God will save me and he'll get me out of this jail. He said, in the soil, in the problem, I will find the change. I will find the solution. There's sometimes I have friends who go through certain very debilitating moments in their lives, and many of them crush, why me, why me? And I have one friend specifically who says, in my pain, I will find the solution. And she struggled with a lot of mental illness, but she has taken that mental illness as an impetus to help others. And she now uses that to help others. I remember when we lost Zalmi 3 years ago, and I remember saying to my husband, God gives and God takes, right? Hashem Rassan, Hashem Lakach. We know that. That's a very strong base in Judaism. But I remember thinking, okay, so God gave him to us for 15 years, literally to the day of his birthday. He passed away, 15 years. His neshama completed what he had to do. But the loss is so hard. The loss, the pain is still so raw, right? So we need to understand that the fact that we lost a child, my family, made us very sensitive. And that pain is the impetus to help others. And now my family, even my children, wherever they are in life, they have been those angels that have helped others that have gone through loss. I remember my son Sholem Ber was in yeshiva 2 years ago, and a friend of his lost a father. And my son went to Ottawa from his yeshiva, and he goes, I'm going to Ottawa because I need to give comfort to this boy. Although it's not a similar situation, but Sholem Ber feels from all my friends, I was so close with being in touch with death that my challenge can possibly help my friend. I want to be there for him. I'm just going to sit there with him. I'm not going to give him any pearls of wisdom, but I'm going to sit there and I'm going to show him that being with him and holding his hand, that he will get through this and he will be okay. And he'll still be able to laugh and smile, because my son, Sholem Ber, for those of you who know him, Rosalie, you know him best, I would say. Sholem Ber was so close to Zalmi, and yet he is such a boy with love and joy. And thank you to all of you who called me up and shared with me how to say that French slogan. Oh my gosh, I got so many messages from people that wanted to correct me politely that didn't say joie de vivre. I still don't get it, but you know what I mean. I'm going to have to practice it for next week. But Sholem Ber lives with that simcha, that joy. Ivdu es Hashem b'simcha. He lives with that slogan. And that is why he's able to share. His pain has now become his avenue of change and hope and trust. You see, so what we're saying is that trust doesn't mean you're going to be pulled out necessarily from that thing, but this course is about mind shift, and we are going to learn how to change our way of thinking and finding the good in that negativity. That is the point of trust. So today we're going to get to other benefits of trust. And one of the things he tells us is the financial responsibility one has when he has trust. Wow, those lawnmowers are so noisy in Toronto. Give me a second, I'm going to close the door. Okay, thank you. The joys of summer, thank God. So we know that people say, well, I have money, and then what do I do with that money? And this is such a responsibility, and I'm not sure what I should do with it, and I'm so anxious about it. So the author says like this: when someone has money, they don't have to worry. They don't have to be fearful. Like we spoke about Howard Hughes, and I think we mentioned him 2 weeks ago. In fact, in 1976, at a Yud Aleph Nissen for Bringen, the Rebbe brought up Howard Hughes without mentioning his name. He said, someone very wealthy died today. And the Rebbe said, and how did he die? He died with such fear and anxiety because he had so much money, which should seem to everyone, wow, you have money, you have it all. Who doesn't want to win a $50 million lottery? Then life is perfect, right? Well, depends what you do with your money. Okay, so for all of you that are blessed with extra means, this is what the Shaar Habitachon tells us. If a man has money, he will hurry to fulfill his obligations to God, such as buying kosher tefillin, tzitzit, extra food for Shabbat meals, and the like, as well as fulfilling his obligation to other people, such as fulfilling the commandment of charity, giving out loans to those in need, and so on. He will do so willingly and generously. But that's if he has the money. And so now you know. You have an extra windfall, don't fret. You know where the money has to go. There are many people who need money. Why? God put them there for you to share what God just gave you. Remember there was a little boy in Torah Tats. His mother tells me this story. He was sitting in the backseat of the car with an 8-year-old sibling. And the 8-year-old says to the mother, Mommy, why does God make so many poor people in the world? If God can do anything, why are there so many poor people? And this little 3 or 4-year-old that was sitting in the back seat of his mother's car, Torah Tats graduate, let me put out a plug there. The Torah Tats child says, of course I know why. Because Hashem wants us to give tzedakah. And if there were no poor people, we wouldn't be able to give tzedakah. To this child, it was so obvious. But you have some adults in their 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, it's not so obvious. They have huge amounts of money sitting in their bank accounts and they have no clue what to do. They leave it sometimes in wills for their children, way more than their children need, and their children might not have the chinuch or the education to know what to do with the money. And here we go. Hashem gave them money with very, very clear directives what to do with it. But what if he does not have money? Now there's some people that don't have money. And then they too worry. Oh, well, if I only had the money, what a pity. If I had the money, I would be able to help this one. A few days ago, there was a lottery winner that was interviewed. And he said, I'm going to be different than all other lottery winners. I am going to set aside money for charity. I'm going to keep my job. I have great charitable organizations. And I'm going to... And that man sounded very, very truthful. And I hope and pray that he keeps his promise. You know, there's they say there are 3 truths in this world. And I'm going to share you the 3 truths. That money makes meshuggah. Geld macht meshuggah. You ever heard that expression? Yeah? Give me a thumbs up if you ever heard that expression. Geld macht meshuggah. wine makes you drunk, and Torah makes you refined. Those are three absolutes. So people will say to you, nah, that's not true. I know a lot of people that study Torah and they're not refined. I know a lot of people that drink, they don't get drunk. And I know a lot of people that have money and they're not meshuggah. So you say to them, if they study Torah and they're not refined, they have to learn more Torah. If they drink and they don't get drunk, give them a few more cups of wine. And if they have money and they're not meshuggah, wait till they get more money, then they'll become meshuggah. So, the book of Shaar Habitachon tells us, if you have money, you don't have to become meshuggah. Because if you do the right thing with your money, I know a very, very, very wealthy man. I'm not going to mention his name over here. But every Chabad house today in the world has his name on their building. So many books. The whole JLI, Rosh Chodesh Society, is funded by this guy. He gives money to so many Chabad houses. My sister's building one now in Greenwich for this man's wealth. And he is the most humble man you will find on walking the face of this earth. We go to the JLI conference and he's sitting there like he's a waiter. I honestly have never seen such a humble man. Even if he didn't have money, he is so humble. Him and his wife. And I believe he reads this book inside out. I believe it. Because he says, and something that Shaar Habitachon tells us, oh, you said it. Oh, how did you know, Arlene? Dorit, you got it. The Rohr family. Oh my gosh. Well, he's an example, right? And there are many others that I don't want to embarrass on this class that are credible people. You know, the book tells us that our money allows us to be an agent of God. It's like, a little simple example, right? My shul, Baruch Hashem, Chabad Markham, Baruch Hashem, we're doing very well. We have big memberships. We have a great preschool, great Hebrew school. We have a lot of great programs. And Baruch Hashem, we have a lot of very charitable people that give money. And so when I need to buy things for school, I'll go into my treasurer and I'll say to her, listen, I need a few $100. There's a great store that's selling things, or a few $1,000s. I need to buy things for school. And sometimes she gives me cash, or she'll give me the credit card, right? You know, even though I'm the Rebbe and my husband's the director of Chabad Markham, everything has to be penny by penny. What you spent, you have to bring in with a receipt. So I take this money and I go shopping and I buy beautiful tools and beautiful activities and beautiful, materials for the school. And I feel great. But when I spend the money, I know it's not mine. I'm an agent to spend the money. And when I get money, whether it's from a gift or, get the U.S. Treasury sends you money because you're an American citizen, you get that money, immediately 10%, if not more, has to go for charity because you are an agent. So when someone is very wealthy, they are an agent and they have to be meticulous to make sure that they give between 10 and 20% to tzedakah. And not grudgingly, but joyfully. And that loads off so much of their worry because they feel so good. They're spending all this money, thousands and hundreds of thousands of dollars to charity. It feels great, right? But what if someone doesn't have the money? So what does Shaar Habitachon say? V'im einenu bal mamon. And if he doesn't have money, then he will pay attention to the fact that the lack of money is actually a kindness from God upon him. Did you ever think of that? If you're not wealthy, then that's God's gift to you as well. Why? Because as a result of lacking money, he has been relieved of his obligations of God to other people, which would have been incumbent upon him due to his money. So he doesn't have to sit now on all the boards and all the schools and worry about giving out the money and making sure, even though when you have lots of money, you have to give away millions, that could be very worrisome. Who am I going to give money to? Am I giving it to the right organization? Am I giving it to the right trust foundation? That could be, if you don't have money, Hashem says you don't have to worry about it. So we're going to conclude with one more thing. I know there was so much more we wanted to talk about. He says like this: if you don't have an advantage of being wealthy, you'll know that you have fewer worries about guarding your money. People have a lot of money, have worries about guarding it. As has been said, there are people, when they have a lot of money, they have something that the author says is called a pizur hanefesh, someone who has the scattering of the mind. What is it? Have you ever heard that expression? Someone who has so much wealth, they experience pizur hanefesh. Their mind is scattered. Why? So he uses the expressions here, where I have money at the ports of each river and the heights of each city, I'm so frazzled because I have so much money in this account and this account and this fund and this stock and this real estate. My mind is scattered. Oh my God, what should I do with it? So here today, to sum it up, he gives 2 reasons that you should have trust and you should feel relaxed. If you have a lot of money, Hashem knows that you will know what to do with it and you'll spend it right away on Jewish schools, Jewish institutions, nicer tzedakah boxes, nicer Shabbos meals, beautiful kiddushim. You'll sponsor books. You'll sponsor kiddush. You'll sponsor children in a Hebrew school. You'll know what to do with it. You won't have scattered mind because you will feel so relaxed and so confident. You know what to do with the money. But if you don't have the blessing of money, so he says, don't worry. Now you don't have to worry about scattered mind syndrome. Hashem didn't give it to you. You could relax. You could take what you have, give the 10% to tzedakah, but no one's expecting you to sit on all the boards and all the institutions and all the JLIs. So wherever you are is where you are meant to be. Wishing you a beautiful week. And go out there and spread the joy of Habitachon to everyone that comes your way. Have a great one.